Welcome back to our special In Focus program, a coronavirus town hall broadcasting live to nearly 5 million Hoosier households in 71 countries or counties right now. We are joined tonight by our Indiana congressional delegation, including Democratic Representative Andre Carson from the 7th District and Republican Representative Susan Brooks from the 5th District. Thank you both for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Few questions I want to get to right now. You know, we're watching event after event being canceled in Indy right now. Visit Indy reporting more than 80 conventions in Indiana have been called off. That's hundreds of millions of dollars, of course, in lost revenue. Should Congress do more to offset those losses? If so, what approach will you take? Representative Brooks, I'll start with you on that one.
Well, thank you for the question. Obviously, that is the heart of Indianapolis. We do an amazing job at hosting really large events. I think, though, that until we get a bit further down the road with respect to whether it is the therapeutics, I don't want to say all the way until we have a vaccine, we're going to have to be incredibly careful how we open up large events. And if we can open up large events, so many large events around the globe have been canceled or postponed. And I do think this is a significant economic driver for Central Indiana. And I certainly know that the teams and the entities that oversee the facilities are very engaged in this. They employ a lot of people. We need to make sure that those people who work in those facilities, who get ready for all of those events, can be taken care of. And so I do think this is not just an Indianapolis problem. There are big communities all across the country that have this exact issue. And I think we will be looking at issues like that in the next package.
A lot to consider there indeed. Representative Carson, same question for you. Should Congress do more to offset those losses?
Well, we're working to do that right now. The Democratic caucus and leadership, we're negotiating with the Republicans and their leadership as well, and looking at CARES Point 2 or C5, however you want to dub it. But Congresswoman Brooks is right, my dear friend and colleague, about vaccinations and, of course, social distancing. But what we intend on doing with CARES 2.0 is looking at directing funding towards cities and states who have become cash-strapped as a result of this pandemic. And so I would like to see a clean bill, no attachments or no distractions, a clean bill that deals directly with cities and states. Something else that involves that would be broadband access, making sure we talk about vote by mail, and also making sure that businesses are supported in the process. So we need cities to address their lost revenue, of course, and we're pushing hard to do this in the bill by providing funding to these municipalities and states.
This one is a hot topic today. Simon Malls was planning to reopen locations in Indiana on Saturday, but today Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett said malls cannot reopen in Marion County. We are still waiting to hear from other counties and, of course, the governor tomorrow. Robin writes this: I work at the Fashion Mall. I've talked with several fellow employees at other stores, and we are all scared to go back to work. So, Congressman Carson, to you, what is your message to all concerned workers who feel it may be too soon?
I think that that's a balancing act that many of us are struggling with. Employers are struggling with it. Employees are struggling with it. There's fear, but there's also a need to get back and bring back money for one's families, but also, the Simon family, they've been great Hoosiers. They're great community stakeholders. They're friends, and I appreciate what they're doing. So we're going to have to balance listening to employees' concerns while at the same time meeting the needs of our families who need income to come in to be stable. So we're seeing a transition of sorts, which is why it's so important that the CARES Act allowed funding to go to businesses. We saw disproportionality in terms of bigger businesses getting these funds, but that's why we extended the PPP, and we want to do more for those people who are anxious about losing revenue, but at the same time being safe from exposing themselves to this pandemic.
And Representative Brooks, your message to workers.
Well, I'm very proud that in the first round of CARES Act, we did come together in a bipartisan way, in a huge way for the country, to provide relief through what's called the Paycheck Protection Program. It's hard to say. So Congressman Carson and I vote, it's the PPP. And we know that thousands and thousands upon Hoosier businesses, small businesses were provided relief. And not just, it's not the businesses, it's to bring back the paychecks for those employees, the employees of those businesses, to make sure those businesses can help pay their rent. It's not as if rent's not due, or to pay their mortgage payment, or to pay their utilities. So we, and many, much of it is forgivable by the federal government. And so I think the Treasury and SBA have worked incredibly hard and incredibly fast to try to make sure that those who are employed by businesses can get their paychecks. I think that balancing act, and I completely agree with Congressman Carson, is so difficult for our business community, because we need to make sure that the employees are safe and that they can feel as if procedures will be put in place, social distancing, maybe masks, maybe gloves. But we have to listen to our medical professionals like Dr. Kane in Marion County, who is advising Mayor Hogsett. And if she says we're not quite ready because the numbers are still far too high in Marion County, then we may have to wait. But I think that we do have to get back to work. We have to do it safely. And I know people are ready. And so we've just got to figure out that balance. And that's what government officials and business owners are doing each and every day.
I want to stay with that topic of relief. And, round 2 of the Paycheck Protection Program gave some additional help to small businesses, like you both mentioned. Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and the Indy Chamber, they put out provisions to help minority and women-owned businesses. So did the Trump administration, setting aside specifically $60 billion for minority and rural businesses. Small businesses are asking now, how are you going to make sure they can get access to those available funds? And also, I want to ask both of you, how are you supporting our minority and rural businesses moving forward? Congressman Brooks, or I will start with you, Congresswoman Brooks.
Well, and I was really pleased to hear from the leader of the Indianapolis City Council, Vop Osili, reached out to me as we were going through this, trying to make sure that I was very familiar with the Indy Chamber of Commerce was doing, what the City Council was doing, and I commend them for doing that. So we have what are called community development finance institutions that help make sure there are funds of money that go, whether it's in opportunity zones or other areas, to ensure that our minority and women-owned businesses and other businesses have specific funding. And I was pleased to see that in CARES, we made that happen. Not just in Indianapolis, which I think has been a leader in promoting this, thanks to the Indy Chamber, Mike Huber, and all the others that came together, but also around the state. I think it's very important. We want to make sure those businesses survive when this is over, and we're here to provide that relief now to get them through this, horrible time. All
right, and Congressman Carson, to you.
No, I agree with Congresswoman Brooks. I mean, Council President Vop Osili has been a great leader, as well as Mayor Hogsett and Governor Holcomb. In the CARES Act, over $60 billion went toward women and minority-owned businesses. We know that too many women and minority-owned businesses are unbanked or underbanked. And so what we have to do is incent banking institutions and lending institutions to provide opportunities for these establishments to thrive. And these establishments, these are folks who are filling out W-9s every year. They may have an employee or two, or they may have 5 or 10 employees. But what has to happen is that we have to make sure that the underbanked and the non-banked women and minority-owned businesses have access to those PPP dollars, and large lenders cannot exclude them from this process.
All right, I'm going to get to this last question here. I have about 20 seconds for each of you to answer this. HUD Secretary Dr. Ben Carson tweeted this week, the first round of coronavirus relief funds have now gone out to Indiana. That is $60 million to support local communities and nonprofits, our homeless citizens, and people living with compromised immune systems like HIV/AIDS. Is this enough? And if not, what are you going to be doing to work with HUD to get more support for Indiana? Representative Carson.
It's never enough. It's never enough, especially when you're talking about our homeless population, especially when you're talking about people who have underlying conditions, who have addictions, who are carriers of HIV/AIDS and other illnesses and diseases. It's never enough funding. What has to happen is that Congress has to make sure HUD has the resources it needs, but also beyond that, we have to make sure that the HUD secretary is being held accountable. If you have leadership of these agencies who view these people as being less than and aren't providing the money that we vote for, taxpayer dollars, to the places it needs to go, then you won't see the results manifest themselves. So we have to hold them accountable as our constituents hold us accountable.
All right. And quickly, Congresswoman Brooks.
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think Secretary Carson has tremendous respect for the people that are served through the HUD programs, and he has tremendous compassion for all of the programs in HUD. It's probably right. There's probably not enough funding, but that's because the needs around the country are so great. Homelessness has gone up dramatically, particularly in large urban areas. And we're very concerned about the issues with respect to COVID-19 in the homeless population specifically. I have talked with a number of managers of housing authorities throughout the state and throughout the district. Kim Townsend in Madison County does a great job of keeping me plugged in, and we know their needs are great in our housing community, and we need to make sure that we are providing those housing authorities with as much support as we can during this very difficult time. Yes. As they're trying to implement social distancing, as they're trying to make sure that their citizens are safe. All so, right. But look forward to being a supporter of HUD and what they're trying to do.
Absolutely. We know this is a conversation that will continue indeed. Thank you both so much. Representatives Carson and Brooks will be back with us a little bit later this hour as we do continue our conversation with them. Dan and Beershell, over to you.
All right. Thank you both. This week, a coronavirus outbreak at a meat processing plant jumpstarts a conversation about whether we're doing enough to protect our food distribution chain.
We'll tackle this topic after the break. Plus, what role will the federal government play in supplying personal protective equipment for businesses? Stay with us.